Hello and welcome to the 2014 edition of the Journey to the Throne. It's always a pleasure to have you join me as we get to know the 7 beauties vying for the Miss Dominica title. Right now I'm joined by contestant number 3, Miss Octavia Prosper. Thank you for joining us, Octavia.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So tell me something. Why did you decide to join the competition this year?
I have always prepared myself for Miss Dominica because it is something I always wanted to do. In terms of preparation, I entered numerous pageants because I knew that they were stepping stones to enhance my participation. And of course, everyone wants a scholarship to go and study, so that was basically my main reason for entering this competition, and to also enjoy the other activities that come with Miss Dominica.
Nice.
Yeah.
So if you won, and you won this scholarship, what would you study?
Law. In terms of my field of study at school, I am currently studying English and psychology, which will help me towards my law education. I wanted to be a lawyer because growing up as a child, I was raised up in a community where a lot of violence was involved. And it kind of pushed me to want to be a lawyer to help defend my people in my country, not only here but also abroad, to equal justice in my community and my country as well. So.
Okay, and who is your biggest cheerleader to date in this pageant?
My mother, and she's actually my assistant chaperone in this pageant.
Okay.
She's basically been pushing me. She's always at home to say, Octavia, don't do that, this is not queenly, you know, speak properly, where are you going with this outfit, you know?
Very good.
And
somebody needs to control you now. Okay, so your mom is your biggest. Now tell me something. What is the best piece of advice that your mom has ever given you?
In spite of all, put God first in everything that I do, because without Him I cannot do anything. And she always tell me, keep focus, pray, don't forget to pray. If everything goes wrong, just remember to pray. And she actually gave me a prayer the other day to say, and it has been helping me to keep calm when things are going wrong.
What's been your biggest challenge to date preparing for this pageant?
Time management has always been something, well, my biggest downfall. And Miss Dominica basically helped me to always be on time. And it was a very challenging thing, I should say, for me in this competition. But I'm managing, and I am beginning to be on time for most of my events.
Okay,
yes.
Good. Would you say that this pageant has changed any aspect of your being?
Yes, it has. It is a learning experience. It taught me a lot in terms of what to say and when to say it, because you never know who's listening. And in terms of dressing, you have to know how to look the part at times and how to approach different people in society, because right now you're on the scope and everyone is looking at you. So it basically taught me a lot.
Okay. You mentioned that your mom spoke to you about praying, always praying. Do you believe in God?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I was raised up in church with my mother. At one point, I was actually the president of the youth group at church, where we would lead service on Friday nights and so on. So I am basically that Christian person, and I have faith. I pray.
Would you say that you're more religious or more spiritual?
I'm more spiritual because currently I don't have a place of worship as in church or Catholic, Christian or so on. I worship at home because I do not want to say I do not believe in congregations, but I feel more comfortable worshiping at home with my family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You've participated in pageants before, namely the Miss Red pageant,
Yes.
the biggest pageant ever held in Dominica. Tell me, is there any difference between preparing for that and this pageant?
Preparing for Miss Red was less work as opposed to Miss Dominica, because for Miss Red, you did not really have to practice your speech and play the part in public, like dress up and wear makeup and so on. It was all about walking. It was more of a fashion show. So Miss Dominica is a lot more work because you always have to be coaching yourself and so on. But for Miss Red, it was all about fashion.
Your bio says you enjoy meeting new people.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
It's always good to make a new friend. So whenever I get the opportunity to meet new people, I grab that chance. because you never know where you will end up in life. You may need to travel, you may need someone to stay with. So making new friends is always something that should be at the top of someone's list, because you never know where it can take you.
Okay, and if you had to live a day or a life in one person's shoes, who would that be and why?
My mother's, because yes, she's there taking care of my brother and I and living day by day, but you never know what's going on in someone's mind. So I'd really like to know what really goes on in my mother's mind, what keeps her going, that motivation, that drive that she has. I would really like to know what is it that keeps her going every day. So.
And you and your brother, you mentioned your brother,
Yeah.
are your mother's only children, and you were raised in a single parent household. What has that experience been like for you?
It taught me to be a better leader, to stand on my own in terms of difficulty, because not having a father role can be very challenging at times, because you tend to see your friends with their fathers and their parents out in public, and you think to yourself, what would it be like to have a father? But it also taught me to be that responsible adult for my brother when my mother is not around. I can now say that if anything has to go wrong, my brother has someone to look up to and to fall back on in terms of comfort and to keep going.
Very well said.
Yeah.
Okay, so your platform, you talk about empowering women beyond the pink.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Beyond the Pink campaign is basically about shifting from awareness and into prevention. In Dominica, a lot of awareness is being done, and prevention as well. But I believe that if more prevention is done, we can help women fight cancer, I should say. And recently I learned that a lot is being done in terms of prevention, but not enough is being done. Over the weekend, my youth group in La Plaine and we basically had a campaign, a walk campaign for cancer patients and survivors. And it's very healthy in terms of walking. It helps to fight cancer cells, it keeps you healthy. And we also encourage healthy eating as well, because we had bananas and watermelons on the walk and so on. And some survivors spoke after the walk, and it really touched me, because they said certain things that I never even knew about my platform. Because even though you know that you're diagnosed with cancer, early detection saves lives. And one of them said that when she found that she had cancer, she thought she was going to die, and she wants to tell people that there is hope. So even when you think or you know that you're diagnosed, there's always hope for you to move on and continue your life.
I'm glad that you said that, because a lot of people don't realize that. They think that once they have cancer, that's it.
No,
they're dead,
hope.
you know?
Yes.
Okay, good. Would you consider yourself a role model?
I've always considered myself to be a role model, because in high school I was always in the forefront, always wanted to be a leader. You know, I was that kind of girl. Everybody wanted to represent them. Who wants to be house captain? Octavia, everybody will call Octavia's name. In college, I was also the president of the Student Body Association. And I did not realize that so many people looked up to me until when I decided to go up for Miss DSC. And so many supporters, you're a girl, we want you to win, I look up to you, I like how you dress. And it brought that to my awareness that people actually look up to me, and it made me more aware and conscious of what I do. So yes, I do consider myself.
And do you think that kind of support helped your self-confidence?
It did. It did. Knowing that people are there for you, it helps build your confidence, because you don't want to disappoint anybody. So you have that drive to always want to please you. Yes.
Besides being a leader, what are some other qualities about you that, let's say, some friends would want to emulate?
I know how to make people laugh.
Okay.
On a sad day, Octavia is always there to say some funny thing out of the blue, or to do some funny facial expression, you know, and they'll just start laughing and say, you know, I am always there to cheer up my friends. And a lot of them wish that they could be that kind of person, to always cheer up somebody on a down day. I consider that to be one of my main qualities.
Okay. If there's one word that could describe you, what would that be?
I'm jovial.
Jovial.
Yes, I'm outgoing. I'm always happy and preppy. Even on a sad day, a lot of people may not know that I'm down because of how I tend to keep up myself and laugh. And then when I go back home, I'll automatically go back into my little zone. But I never let people know when things are affecting me.
Okay. What are you passionate about?
I love sports.
Okay.
Yes, I love sports. I love hiking. I love to run. It makes me feel relieved, because after a long day, in terms of wanting to feel like myself, I would run, you know, because after you finish run and exercise and sweat, you tend to feel more relieved in terms of from stress, from what other people in society have to say about you. Kind of help you be in that relaxed situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
In life, what have you learned to value most?
My family. Because even when everyone else is against you and pushing you and trying to stress you out and bring you down, you always have somebody to look up to and to feel that compassion and happiness when you get home. So I always look forward to going home to my family, especially my mother. My brother as well, but my mother really understands because she's been through that stage and she knows what it is like to be a teenage girl. So, my family.
Okay. If you could change one thing about Dominica, what would it be?
One thing about Dominica I would change would be our marketing of our activities. I think that if we market our carnival and our Creole Festival more, we would have a lot more visitors yearly to be up to par with St. Lucia and the other Caribbean islands. So yes, to discover Dominica Authority, I think that they should push their carnival and their other activities more. That's what I'll change about my country.
Well, what would you suggest that they do?
In terms of nightlife, a lot of tourists tend to complain that Dominica does not have enough nightlife, because when you go to the other country, something is always being done. Especially on a Sunday afternoon when you walk in town, it's quiet, you could hear a pin drop. So I think that they should increase the nightlife in Dominica to help increase the stay-over tourists in our country.
Okay. One of the issues, most recent, that government has tried to combat is youth unemployment. What's your take on government's recent initiative?
I think it was a good initiative, especially for us, the youth, because you tend to hear a lot of elderly saying that the youth are going astray, there's nothing for them to do. And it was very good that Dominica government could come and implement jobs in our country. So now that they are doing something with their free time, I think that the elderly should applaud them and thank the government for the initiative.
Okay. And are you aware of any recent initiatives taking place within your community?
In Delis, the government of Dominica recently enhanced the water situation, and a lot of the locals and habitants in Delis were very pleased for that initiative done by the government. And in La Plaine, currently the infrastructure of the police station is being done, where the police could be more comfortable and fight crime in La Plaine and Delis as well. And I think it was a very good initiative by the government of Dominica, especially for the people on the southeast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Each contestant has a platform, something that is dear to them. Octavia, I'd like you to speak to your viewers about your platform and why it's important to you.
Okay. Recently, an aunt of mine was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I was alarmed because there wasn't much I knew about breast cancer. So I took on my own to basically read up more about breast cancer. And it brought to my attention that in Dominica, it's on a drive. Breast cancer is on a drive. Not only breast, but also prostate cancer. And when I entered this competition, I thought to myself, what could I use for a platform? And I realized I could relate to breast cancer and speak about cancer, so I chose breast cancer as my platform. And recently we saw that 2 well-known people in our country passed with cancer. And I think that I need to bring up the awareness that we need to do something to help eliminate the toxins in our environment which contribute to breast cancer. And in terms of what we eat daily, also has a lot to play with you and us being diagnosed with this disease. And my suggestion to Dominicans is to demand healthier products from the producers, because we must start with ourselves to help eliminate toxins in our environment. Not every family member wants to lose a mother, a wife, or a sister. And I think that we need to start with us and to help save Dominica and our people and to move forward. Again, my platform is empowering women against breast cancer beyond the pink.
That was Octavia Prosper, empowering women against breast cancer. Join her on the eve of February 28th, where I'm sure she'll dazzle you. I'm Pearl Fontaine. See you next time.